Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm just getting started right now. I'll just be doing my own thing until people come in. If you're here, say hi. And I can take any questions you have. All right. Just wrote into chat, and I'm going to basically just do my own thing for a bit until some people stream in. I think that's the wrong. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, cool. Let's go to Beloved. Maybe I should read Beloved. All right. By the way, if you're in the States, I guess if you're in the States, it'd be crazy late. This is definitely going to be a spoiler for the next day, so if you don't want to look at the Wordle, just don't look at the screen. I'm going to use a word. I'm going to use a start that I haven't used, like, ever. An A letter? Okay, I haven't done that. Okay. Sheer is what I'm, but that doesn't work. I guess I could do spear, but P is a little bit smear. At least M is a little bit more useful. Oh wait, why am I using sme, spate? I guess there could be an A in the middle. That's higher probability. Anyway, if you're here, just say hi and let me know what's on your mind. Stape. Yeah, I'll do slate. L is better. Oh, so terrible. Okay. Mauve. AU? Oh, dude. This is terrible. I have to focus on the consonants. There's so many possibilities. Okay. I'm trying to think of a double vowel version. All right. Oops. Keshav, what's up? Good to see you here. Okay. All right. my brain's not really great, so I'm just gonna go and for any word. I am noticing some people are joining the chat now, or some people are joining the stream, but no one's joining the chat other than Keshif. So, hey, just if you're here, just say hi. Just say hi, and then if you do have questions, then you can ask. And even if you don't have questions, just say hi, man. Don't be scared. Can't use pause. I don't want to use some random word like mauve, which I don't even know if that's a real word. It just feels like a word. Or like a random word like I was thinking farce, but no R remaining to me. How's everyone doing, by the way? And I know we mostly have high school students, but if you're not a high school student, let me know what you're into. If you are a high school student, then you have, if you're a high school senior, you have your applications coming up soon. Let me know how that's going. And if you're not a senior, then let me know how your English classes are going. Bro, this is so annoying. That's not a word. Okay, let's go back to Suhaima. December SAT. Mapping. Head every day. Do I map it enough times that you just need to skim? I'm not sure about the second. I don't really understand the last half of that question, but you found one of my older videos, it sounds like, about mapping the passage. Maybe you found the one that says stop begging the passage, something like that. The begging strategy, is that the one that you found? The thing about mapping the passage is that it's not as important for the digital SAT, because the digital SAT is definitely a lot easier to read since the passages are so much shorter. But to answer your question, I do map the passage still. It's just not as important of a skill as it used to be. So the way I do it now is, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's not like, I don't do it like, I think if you're asking me how I do it, I just have a default habit that I've developed where whenever I'm reading a passage, I'm always identifying transitions. So if it moves, for like a science passage, for example, okay? Science passage that's very straightforward. A very straightforward science passage could start with researchers wanted to investigate something, right? So that is like, that's a research question. Then it goes straight into the methodology. Then it goes straight into results, and then it goes straight into conclusion. That is like the most basic level science passage, all right? Research question, or sometimes a hypothesis right away. Then we get methodology, results, findings, results and conclusions. Those are transitions that I bet, because most of my viewers on YouTube, most of you guys are kind of STEM heavy kids, according to a poll that I put out like a year back. And I am pretty sure for you guys, you don't even consciously look for those transitions. You just notice them, right? And that's how I feel when I'm reading a passage. When I'm reading a passage, I just notice the transitions. It's like, and so if you were to sort of quiz me, hey, Saul, out of these 5 sentences, you know, if you cover the passage and tell me there are 5 sentences total, which sentence is the one where the results come out? I'd probably be like 4, right? Like I'd like know it. Like, even if I don't look at the passage, I would still know it. And I bet it's the same for you, because most of you guys are pretty good at science. Well, The only difference between you and me now is that I can do the same thing, except not for the really basic science passages. I can do it for the harder science passages, where sometimes, they actually have a predominant theory first, and then the background for for previous research that seemed to undermine the theory, and then and then now the latest study that's coming out, and then within that latest study, the methodology that is actually innovating on the previous methodologies and capturing certain types of data that wasn't previously caught. And then it just ends. It just ends there and doesn't share the results because this research is still ongoing. Well, that's kind of unusual, right? That's like an unusual science passage structure. But for me, I can just sort of, and probably for you guys too, you can probably just see the transitions. So then just do the same thing for non-science passages. Identify transitions, except now for non-science passages, what kind of transitions are there? Well, it depends on the passage, but there's, generally speaking, there's like claims and reason and evidence and concessions and qualifications. And so you start by looking for those, right? Generally speaking, there's like illustrations and examples of claims, right? So start looking for those. And then there's like past and present, or comparison topic number 1 versus comparison topic number 2, right? So there's like transitions that are in the passage, and that's what I'm basically noticing every single time when I'm reading a passage. And I don't even do it consciously, I just do it automatically. And for you, does that mean you can just randomly automatically start doing it today? Probably not. You might need to start looking for it, and you might realize that within the time pressure, you aren't actually able to find the transitions within time. But then afterwards, I would encourage you, after you're done with the test, after you're done with your practice test, after you're done with time, basically, just go back to the passage, and without looking at the answer choices, break down the passage, figure out the transitions. Advice for history passages? I mean, there aren't really history passages anymore, so I'm not really sure what you're talking about, actually. Like, I have no idea what you mean. There are no history passages anymore. That's definitely a paper SAT problem. So where did you not elaborate on the problem, please? I do not know what you're talking about. Yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. Anyway, if I summarize, for some of my lower attention span viewers, if I just summarize my answer to Suhaima, my instruction to you is, whenever you read a sentence and then you read the next sentence, try to imagine what is the logical relationship between these two sentences, and then try to force yourself to put a transition word in between and see what happens, okay? Because if you keep doing that on every sentence, you'll realize that you actually understand the passage better, even if it's about something that even if it's about a topic that you have no understanding of. Like, it could be talking about some random, biochemical engineering like innovation that you've and you're not a science person at all, right? But then just by breaking down the passage and just trying to stick transitions in between the sentences, you'll have a higher understanding, even if you don't really get it. It's kind of magical, actually, if you get used to it, if you actually do it. Okay, so that's it for me. It looks like there's no other questions at the moment, so I'm gonna go back to Wordle. I would be annoyed if they double use the E, but it's definitely possible. So I'm gonna try it. Let's do peace. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I just double used the A in the same location. I wish I could take that back. It's because I'm context switching. God. Well, there goes my Wordle stats. I just used the A twice in the same location. So annoying. Why did I do that? All right. That is a farce. F it. I'm gonna just do. Oh my god, are you serious? It actually is mauve. I called it out. I should just done it. Dude, so makes me pissed. I said mauve 10 minutes ago. So annoying. And the worst thing is that I did this stupid piece in the middle. Ah, gosh. All right. I see your questions. I'm gonna come back to it, but I need to share my horrible performance to my Discord server. So if you guys want to play Wordle with me, this is one of my lower skill scores. Super annoyed, honestly. And actually, I do want to quickly look up what mauve actually means. I think it's a color, right? Before I move on. Yeah, mauve is a color. You can tell that I'm not really an art person because I don't know this color. All right, so let's go back to chat now. Chat says, hi, advice for word and context questions. Top used words before December SAT. I mean, I would never, if you, look, dude, if you are going to spend 10 minutes doom scrolling TikTok versus 10 minutes reviewing word and context words, oh man, dude, word and context, like reviewing any vocabulary, even if it's vocabulary that doesn't come out onto the December SAT, like it's always good to just study vocabulary instead of wasting your time on things that don't, help you in life. So I would always be down for that, but I will always also qualify that because memorizing a bunch of vocabulary is probably not the main problem. Probably the main problem is you're going to get the question wrong, even if you know the words. like people completely forget this fact. Like you are still you're like, if you're getting it wrong without knowing one of the words, you're probably still gonna get it wrong, even if you did know one of the words. And the times that you could have gotten it right if you knew one of the words, are the ones that stick in your memory because they're the ones where you felt so close, but you're forgetting about all the other ones where you actually had no chance, even if you knew all the words, right? It's just statistically, we're not like robots. We don't really remember the other experiences. We only remember those particularly painful experiences are the ones when you're actually very close to the answer, right? So you are, not just you, Musalam, personally, but just like students in general, you guys totally underrate how important the logic is in the passage, not the vocabulary. You guys all think it's the vocabulary. So, and this is a repeated pattern that I see in so many students. So I'm just going to say what it is at the general level. Now, with that out of the way, the general tip is if the general way to prove that actually it is the logic that you're messing up on is to make sure to make predictions. Make a prediction. If you cover the answer choices and you make a prediction and you look at A, B, C, D and you still don't have an answer, okay, then maybe it is your vocabulary, right? But oftentimes you'll find that actually you just had the wrong prediction. This is not the hardest question, but I'll just give you a quick example. Actually, I don't have that much time, so Khan Academy. Dude, what's that question? Hieronymus Bosch. Okay, there we go. Digital SAT. Can I just find this? Yeah. All right, so like honestly, a lot of you guys get this one wrong, but none of these words are hard at all. Like it's not hard at all. Like it's not. So this is the. Oh, my bad. I'm not showing the passage. Here we go. Guys, if you have taken like the Blue Book test, you would remember this passage. But dude, a lot of you guys get this one wrong. Has nothing to do with vocabulary, and you'll be surprised. Even if you study like 1,000 words, your score won't really increase because it's not the vocabulary that's your problem. It's part of the problem, and you definitely should learn those words. And you should stop just solving a practice test and being like, oh shit, I got a 650, and then just moving on to the next practice test. You should actually stop and you should collect all the words that you didn't know and you should put them into your vocab list, and you should actually study the vocabulary. I'm not telling you not to study the vocabulary, but I am telling you to also do not forget that you actually need to figure out the logic of the passage. That's like so much more important. Okay, if you figure out the logic of the passage, oftentimes, even with your crap vocabulary, you can still figure it out. You can still nail it down to 50-50. If not, nail it down to one answer. Okay, so do not neglect the logical direction of the passage. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go back to let's go back to the next question. Have I read Moby Dick? Yes, I have. Yeah, it is a yappy it is a yappy book. It's a yappy book. It's a great book. I haven't read it in a long time. Um, it is a yappy book. That's why we love it. We love it because Herman Melville is fucking serious as hell and fucking nerdy as hell, and he just has a lot to talk about. And it's not a classic. It's not a classic novel. It's not like the modern novels. It is very fatty. Has a lot of like things that seem unnecessary to the plot, and it's the antithesis of like the modern novel where everything builds up, where everything has to be, written in a sort of perfect kind of puzzle-like manner, put together like a puzzle to just like build up to a climax. It's not really like that. It's sort of a meditation, and it's almost like a journal sometimes. It's just and yet, if you're just in for the ride, you just vibe with it for a couple hours or weeks or days, actually, weeks or months even. At some point you get to the end and you're like, holy shit, wow, God, is that you? Evil? What is evil? Good? What is good? That's kind of the general vibe that I think you should. I think when you go into a book like Moby Dick, I wouldn't recommend trying to get a normal experience out of it. I think it's very much a sort of philosophical meditation. And it's been such a long time that I can't really speak about this in any detail. But yes, I would. I would try to see what's inside the yapping is what I'd say. Some parts of the Common App, the order that the application is filled. I mean, I feel like there's probably better videos already out there for this kind of thing, but let me. The order. I mean, you know what the easiest thing to do is, dude? Just make an account and just look at it. So. Musallam, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't want to shut down your question, but yeah, is that not Musallam, the guy with the Cyrillic alphabet name? I don't want to shut down your question, but I do need to move on to my my next stream soon. So I have a question back at you. What is stopping you from creating your Common App account and just looking at it? I'm not sure what the problem is right now. Rose says algebraic word problems. I cannot form equations. Oh man, I am not a math tutor, so I don't have specific tips. Although, but if you trust me, I mean, I will say algebraic word equations. You do need to do something that. It's a shared skill with the reading, where when you're reading like a table in a reading passage, right? And when you read the passage underneath the table, sometimes the passage underneath the table doesn't use the exact same word as the rows and columns in the table, right? Sometimes it uses a synonymous word or like a abbreviated word or something like that kind of calls back to the row or the table, but not the word itself, right? I think you probably have that experience if you've solved some reading tests, right? If you've solved like some of these like table questions. Well, when you're doing like word problems in math, I mean, I think that's the fundamental skill. You have to see the word, and then in your head, you have to map it to something else that is not in the paragraph. Now, you have to map it into like mathematical terminology. And I'm not a math tutor, so this is basically as far as I can go right now. But all I'll say is that it is very important for you to see the words, and as you see the word, at that moment, not at the end of the passage, okay, or not at the end of the question, but literally at the moment that you see that word, are you threading that back to some sort of like variable in your head, or to some sort of number that's already presented to you on that question? Are you connecting it back? If you're not connecting it, then you're gonna keep dropping the ball on these like word questions. That's all I can say right now, because I really haven't solved the math section in such a long time. I don't even remember what these questions look like. Do I read everything on the graph questions? I basically read all. It depends on your score. But if you are an 800 score, or if you want to be an 800 score, you have to read everything, because you can. An 800 score does not have the luxury of being able to make one mistake. So an 800 score has to be like every question that I read. Like if I'm solving question 9 and I'm done with question 9 now, and I'm looking at question 10, and question 10 looks like it could be an easy question. Well, if you are literally only aiming for 700 or even 750 sometimes, that means that it's okay for you to be wrong. It's okay for you to assume that it's an easy question and to kind of skip over some sentences. But for an 800 scorer, if you make those assumptions, the likelihood of you making underestimating a question and making that mistake is too, like, you're not going to get the 800. You're just not going to get the 800. So for me, yes, I read every sentence. But for you, if you're aiming at 650, if you're aiming at 700, you can take some of these shortcuts if you feel like they're helping you. Okay. Long term, I still think it's better for you to read every single sentence, because that's how you actually develop the reading abilities. But that's long term. Like if you just need a quick result right now, next week, right, and you're aiming at something like 650, 700, then okay, whatever. Like take some shortcuts, sacrifice a couple questions. It's okay. No one's gonna tell on your mom. Do we have to read the question for rhetorical synthesis and go through the MCQ rather than reading notes? That's actually shockingly very similar to the previous question for me. Actually, if you're an 800 scorer, I actually encourage my 800 scorers to read the notes. But if you're not an 800 scorer, I actually don't. Like, if you're not even aiming at 800 or anything above 750, I actually don't care. Like, dude, do whatever shortcut works for you, because the synthesis questions are 9 out of 10 of them are so easy that you don't need to read the notes to have 100% confidence. If you are around like a 700 score, you can have 100% confidence on 9 out of 10, even without reading the notes. It's just that, what do you do with the other 1 out of 10 where you don't have 100% confidence, you only have 60% confidence? Will you read the notes, right? And are you like, so that's a whole... Yeah, but is that worth it? I think if you're just aiming at 600, 650, 700, it's fine. All right, you could just it's okay to be 60% confident on 1 out of 10 question, 1 out of 10 synthesis question, and then just skip the notes. But again, if it's working for you, it's working for you. If that's your target, that's cool. But if you're aiming at an 800 and you're hard stuck, then you gotta realize you're being lazy. You can't take all these shortcuts. You have to actually. You can't make a single mistake, dudes, for 800. It's a different game. Best way to deal with word in context questions is to use exception methods. Big probability you miss shoes. Not sure what that is, so I'll just skip on that question. But I do think it's a tip, and I feel like it's an interesting tip, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's actually saying. I don't know what the exception method is, is what I'm trying to say. Stupid question. I mean, it's not a stupid question. I just sometimes we kind of, when you're sleep deprived and you have a lot of school assignments, it's just hard. Sometimes you forget that you can just go to commonapp.org or whatever it's called. Here, commonapp.org. Yeah. Sometimes you forget that you can just click on this. Sometimes you forget. I keep showing the wrong screen. Sometimes you forget you can just click on this button and then just click on this button and then make your account. So it's fine. It's not a stupid question. I actually think, by the way, if there's anyone who's not a senior that's watching this video, I want you to make a fake account. I want you to look at this. I want you to look at the Common App. Okay. I want you to look at the Common App. It actually will help you quite a bit to know what you're supposed to write 1 year from now or 2 years from now or whatever, however many years away you are from the application. It's interesting because you'll see what the big deal is, right? And you'll know about it way before your peers. It's actually a good exercise just to go through the questions, and just, you don't have to fill them in if you don't want to, but you could just skim over it and just see the structure. And if you do fill it in, I think that's even more interesting because it gives you an initial shit draft to use from like your sophomore year or junior year, and then you can revisit it and kind of evolve it more. But yeah, I think I think everyone should just go ahead and look at it. Do I 9 through 15? How do I approach it? I mean, auditory. I think you probably. It seems like you haven't watched any of my streams, like at least my real time decision making. But if I just answer it point for point, I'll just say this. Okay, how to approach questions 9 through 15? Approach it the same way. Approach it the same way as you approach 1 through 8. And even as you the same way that you approach 20 to 24, 20 to 27, okay? Except for the grammar, everything else is the same approach. You read the passage, you make the prediction, you match your prediction. If you fail to match your prediction, then you use process elimination, okay? That's my test taking engine. I talk about this in multiple videos. And then the second question, what is the maximum amount of time you can spend on a hard question? There is no such thing as a maximum amount of time. It really depends on your score and on your priority. Every answer here changes depending on what the target score is, okay? Because 800 scorers are playing a totally different game from anyone who's scoring 720 or below. And then even 650 scorers and below are playing a different game from people who are aiming at 720. So that said, ignoring the 800 scores, for most people, if you spend 2 minutes on a question, and you still don't have high confidence, my strong recommendation is after 2 minutes, if your confidence is not going to go up that much more anyway, just make a guess, bookmark it, and come back, okay? That's my most general advice for most people. Okay, for 800 scores, there's some exceptions. We can talk about this, but yeah, it's different. Can you recommend best books or sites for vocabulary comprehension? Dude, the vocabulary, I don't know what it is with vocabulary. I feel like it's, whenever I look online, it feels very sort of like sloppy and not very well organized. So I honestly think the best thing to do for vocabulary is to make your own vocab list. That said, maybe someone else in chat has some recommendations. If you do have some recommendations, please share. But I don't have any recommendations specifically for vocab studying. And then, hang on. Do I think it's harmful that you submitted 3 additional letters of recommendation along with 2 and 1? You sent 6? That is a lot, dude. I don't know if it's actively harmful. Partly I think it does come down to the system. So I have to actually make a quick disclaimer, okay? I do not think about college admissions. It's not what I care about. I care about reading and writing, okay? So I don't think about college admissions. So I don't know how systems have evolved, okay? In the last decade, in job recruitment, or what do you call it? Yeah, it's recruitment, right? Is recruitment the right word? In recruitment, right, for hiring people at companies and for college admissions, which is also a type of recruitment, systems have evolved and become much more sophisticated, but sophisticated in ways that feel extremely unsophisticated from your standpoint of view, okay? It'll literally just filter you out for things just because of some stupid keywords or whatever, right? That's what happens in the job search, and it's almost certainly also happening in the college application process. So systems may have evolved where there are certain answers to problems like yours, right? For me as an admissions officer, maybe I don't want to read 6 letters of recommendation. Well, maybe the system completely just blocks out the other 3. I have no idea. And probably it's not every school uses the same system, so it probably depends, right? But for me, if I were an admissions officer and I saw your I saw your application, and I thought that you were, kind of like on the border, and then I saw 3 additional letters of recommendation, I would probably not see that favorably, right? I would be like, And then at that point, there's two ways I can react, and it really depends on the admissions officers. Because some admissions officers are kind of maybe older or more cynical, and some admissions officers are more sympathetic and kind of optimistic. I don't know, but they are human beings, and they have to like you, right? Because they have to go back to the committee and persuade the committee that that his applicant or his or her applicant, right, like you, are worth the seat, right? So they'll have to defend your application at some point. So they have to actually like you. So if they like you, if they're not sure whether they like you or not, and then you have like these 3 additional letters of recommendation, then if I were, then there's 2 ways it can react. The sort of cynical way to react is, oh my God, this kid's so desperate, kind of annoying, right? Kind of annoying. Wish this kid just like followed instructions, right? That would be a totally normal way, a very common way to react, right? Does that mean your admissions officer is definitely going to react that way? We don't know. They're a human being. They can choose choose however they want to react, right? They can react however they want to react. But that is one possible reaction that people will have when you do not follow instructions and you give them more work to do, right? That they might just get annoyed. The other way of reacting is like, well, this kid is, really wants to be here apparently, so let me give him a shot. And that is also like, their choice. They can react that way if they want to react that way. If that's the kind of person they are, and if that's the kind of like relationship they want to establish in their heads with you with your application, right? If they want to do that, they can react that way. There is no answer, because there is nothing that guarantees they're going to react one way or the other. They're human beings. They're going to react however they react. So, can submitting 3 additional letters of recommendation be harmful? Yes, it definitely can. Can it be helpful? Yes, it can. What do I personally think the statistical likelihood is that it's going to be helpful and not harmful? I think it's less than 10%. So that's just me. Okay? I don't think you're going to, but I also don't think it's not going to, I also don't think it's really going to matter. If the rest of your application is really, really strong and they like you anyway, those 3 additional letters of recommendation, they're just not even going to notice it. Okay? So the more important thing is the rest of your application strong? If the rest of your application is strong, then this whole thing becomes a moot point. I took the SAT the first time in 2000 and I don't know, 4. I took the PSAT, I don't know, 2003, something like that. A long time ago, so more than 20 years ago, probably, for the PSAT. Best way to approach reading questions with long passages, long answers: predict and match and move on. Now, I do need to go. I'm 13 minutes behind schedule, so I'm gonna move on to the the members only section of my stream. So thank you for everybody for just joining in and sharing with me all your questions. I hope I was helpful to you. If I was helpful to you, please hit the like button. And if you want more access to future streams and content, hit that subscribe button as well. I hold this members only stream for people just because, I have limited time every week. So if you, I just kind of hold the members only stream to just extend the time available streaming for anyone who is a member of my channel. If you want to support my channel and the work that I do to create more writing related content, then go ahead and look in the description below where it talks about joining my channel membership. All right, guys. Sorry to end it so abruptly, but I just got to keep going. So I'll see you guys in the next stream. I'll have another stream like this 1 week from now. Peace.